I stated this in an earlier video, but there are some movies that I just watched over and over and over growing up. I had this little portable DVD player that I was absolutely glued to, and I shuffled through the same 5 or 6 movies very consistently. Well, one of those films for me that I just watched all the time growing up was Ocean's 11. Directed by Steven Soderbergh and released on December 7th, 2001, Ocean's 11 took a star-studded cast and a stylistic approach to the classic caper genre. But why is it that amongst so many heist films, this one managed to stick around? It's one of those movies that when it's on TV, people tune in. When it or any of its sequels are on Netflix, it's always in the mix for a friend movie night. Today, I'm talking about number 82 on the 100 movie marathon, Ocean's 11. Ocean's 11 is a remake of the 1960 film starring Frank Sinatra as Danny Ocean, as well as other members of the Rat Pack, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., Peter Lawford, and Joey Bishop. That film was released to mixed reviews from critics and brought in about $5.5 million in the box office, so a far cry from a smash hit. Despite the film never really gaining much footing at the time it was released, there have been talks about a remake since the late 1980s. However, nothing really materialized until Warner Brothers attached Steven Soderbergh to the project in January of 2000. Soderbergh was an acclaimed director at the time with films such as Sex, Lies, and Videotape, which won the Palme d'Or and was his first film. Talk about coming out the gate hot. Grey's Anatomy, no, not that one, and probably most notably Out of Sight, a 1998 crime comedy film that starred George Clooney and Jennifer Lopez. This film had every opportunity to be a run-of-the-mill rom-com with a crime twist, but Soderbergh brought his own style and flair that made it a film remembered to this day. In my opinion, Out of Sight was the film that showed Warner Brothers that Soderbergh was the guy to direct the Ocean's remake. Add into the mix that after he was announced as the director on this project, he had 2 hits released in 2000, Erin Brockovich and Traffic. Long story short, if you don't understand what those movies are, let me put it into layman's terms. This guy was on an absolute heater heading into Ocean's 11. His direction is what I think makes the movie unique and stand out amongst the pack. This film has a certain energy to it. The way he uses music and editing to craft this film's heartbeat while keeping its cool nature and identity is mesmerizing. I had this project way back in high school where I wanted to sort of emulate the montage sequences that Soderbergh has in Ocean's 11. I'm not by any means a Vegas guy, but I think that the way that Soderbergh made this movie perfectly embodies that town. This group of criminals just has this cool confidence to them for the most part that makes you want to root for them. And a lot of the ways in which this movie is edited and the way that Soderbergh shot it kind of supports that cool confidence feel that they're going for that is perfect for Vegas. But also, I mean, you cannot ignore the fact that the casting for this film is amazing. Honestly, flawless in my opinion. George Clooney was born to play Danny Ocean. I truly don't think anyone else could have played this character better than he did. He is just so damn cool in this movie and emits that confidence that this character needed. Now, I've gotten into discussions in the past about how I'm not the biggest fan of George Clooney's overall filmography, but there's no denying it. He was perfect as Danny Ocean in this film. The rest of the ensemble is amazing as well, with some big hitters such as Julia Roberts, Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, Bernie Mac, Andy Garcia, Don Cheadle, Casey Affleck. This cast is stacked. I know that not everyone in this movie was the big star that they are now, but they still had some big heavy hitters at the time. I mean, Julia Roberts was coming off of an Oscar win for Erin Brockovich. Brad Pitt was one of the biggest movie stars in the world, and he wasn't even the top on the bill sheet. I mean, he was the second, I guess, main character of this film, but he was a clear number 2 to George Clooney. You got him in this film, and you had Matt Damon, who was the young star, basically the future of Hollywood at that time. And what's crazy about Matt Damon in this film is he wasn't even the first choice for the role of Linus Caldwell. Initially, they wanted Johnny Depp in the film, and then after Johnny Depp didn't do it, they actually signed Mark Wahlberg, who ended up dropping out of the film so he could do Planet of the Apes. Not a great decision, but this movie, Matt Damon was the third option for this character. This guy had won an Oscar for screenplay, but he had won an Oscar and he was in plenty of successful movies where he was the lead star. He had been nominated for Best Actor before. Whenever that guy is third for this role, that is saying something. And there are loads of big names that were considered for this movie as well, such as Bruce Willis and Alan Arkin. Bruce Willis actually going on to have a really weird cameo, in my opinion, in the second film. But this cast is unbelievably good. They play off of each other so well. It's like they have this chemistry to them, like everyone there knows that they belong there. Which is important because their characters need to admit that confidence. Now, don't get me wrong, they have some people in this heist that are pretty nervous to be a part of it. One person comes to mind in particular. I can't remember the name of him, but I'm going to put his picture right here. But they needed actors that could play off of each other so fluidly, so flawlessly, and have that sort of chemistry in order for this to work. And I don't think that with a different cast, they could have had as good of an Ocean's 11 group. What I also liked is how this script gave all the members of the heist their own particular quirk to help them stand out. Naturally, in a film where you have 11 members of a heist group on top of supporting actors that are not involved in the actual heist, you're going to have characters fade into the background. It's just going to happen. But the writers did such a good job of making each member of this heist distinct from one another. So when the heist is actually going on, you know all of these guys' personalities, you know who might crack, who won't crack no matter what, and what exactly their role in the heist is. And you just generally understand that everyone has their role to play here. All of them are qualified to be there. And I just gotta say, I love the dynamic of Casey Affleck and Scott Caan as two brothers that cannot stop bickering, and the fact that they involved that in the heist where they're bickering on something as to serve as a distraction of some sort. I thought that was just so funny. Anytime those two are on screen together, I'm laughing. At the end of the day, you guys, this film is just pure entertainment. It doesn't try to overcomplicate things. Danny Ocean is a guy who just wants to get back at this jerk casino owner who he has beef with, so in order to do so, he's going to assemble a crew and steal a ton of money from him. That's the movie. But it's the truly great movies that can take a general plot easy for everyone to understand, but deliver something that's different than anyone who's tried it before. The combination of Soderbergh's direction, casting choices, writing, editing, music, and the aura of Vegas all combine to generate this energy that keeps audiences coming back over and over and over. We've seen 3 other movies released in this franchise, but none of them do what this film did, in my opinion. The simplicity of the plot opens up all players in this production to go the extra mile in their craft. For 116 minutes, we get to see Clooney act as cool as he ever has in his career. We get to see Soderbergh hone in on what he's learned from directing action, comedy, and award-winning films in the past. We saw a group of actors that would go on to win awards and be part of massive franchises come together and play off one another. We got to experience the life of a cool group of thieves who never came across as the bad guys. Even though I don't think the sequels lived up to what this film did, I know I can always come back to this and dip my toes into this suave, funny, interesting take on the caper genre. It is so hard to get the energy of a film right, and this one just hits you in the face with it, and it never comes across as overbearing. True skill. But that's everything that I want to say about Ocean's 11 today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm trying a little bit of a shorter format on these vids, so let me know what you think. Be sure to subscribe if you aren't already, and I will see you guys next time.